If you had the artistic talent to create impressive paintings, could you imagine devoting that skill to copying the work of past artists? Our guest is art scholar Noah Charney, whose new book looks at the techniques, interesting characters, and consequences of faking art, dating back to the Renaissance. Noah Charney, welcome to the program. So what physical things would you look for in a painting to help determine its authenticity?
Well, for an oil painting, one of the things that has to be copied is called craquelure.
Can you tell us what craquelure is?
Craquelure is the web of cracks that appears naturally in oil paint over time as it expands and contracts, and it has a pattern on the surface like a spider web. What you can do is study that pattern and determine whether it was artificially produced to make it look old quickly or whether it appeared naturally.
How do you create craquelure?
Some of the characters in my book gave accounts of their own recipes because they wanted to be famous, and one of them is Eric Hebborn. And if I'm allowed to have a favorite, it would be him.
Why is that?
He's the only one who I would argue was at the same artistic level as the people he imitated. In his recent book, he explains how to cover an oil painting in something like butter, and then you literally bake the painting like cookies in an oven, and it produces something that looks like craquelure. This takes time and effort, but he was able to successfully achieve it.
What else matters? Labels, letters, the material that it's painted on?
Well, it's very important to look at the back of paintings and prints. There's a lot of information there that people tend not to look at, like old stamps from auctions or previous owners. There might be information on the frame itself, where the canvas was purchased, for instance. These sorts of details are very important, but people tend to look at the front of a painting and not turn it over.
And wormholes also tell a story, right?
Yes, and that is one of the most difficult things to reproduce. These are literally holes that tiny insects make. They eat their way through paintings, and it's incredibly difficult to do anything that looks organic and irregular if you're trying to reproduce it by hand using tools like small drills or screws. So, for each means used by someone faking art, there's a way we can spot it. But the trick is that it rarely gets to the point of deep analysis. The nature of the art trade is that if it looks pretty good and experts agree on it, and if the documented history looks credible, then nobody bothers with scientific testing. And it probably shouldn't be that way, but it's been that way for a very long time.